In Maryknoll is the official Catholic Foreign Mission Society of the United States. In its broadest terms, the Maryknoll Society is composed of priests and brothers. In the broader Maryknoll family, we have the Maryknoll Sisters, the Maryknoll Lay Missioners, and our newest branch are the Maryknoll Affiliates. And our focus is intercultural gospel sharing with other lands, other cultures, peoples here, to help us all understand Jesus' message, its implications, its importance, all around the world. Because of this property being on a hill, it was called Mary's Knoll, because we're dedicated to Mary, and then it gradually that became our nickname, Maryknoll. There was a priest, Father Price from North Carolina, and a priest, Father Walsh, James Anthony Walsh from Boston, and they had this idea of a foreign mission seminary, as well as Father Price's case, he wanted maybe missionary work here in the States. But we couldn't go overseas because this was considered a mission country until 1908. And that's when Pope St. Pius X took it off the list of mission countries, which meant we could start sending North American men and women overseas. So Father Walsh and Father Price met at a Eucharistic conference in Canada, and they started the ball rolling. And helping them in this was a woman, Molly Rogers, later Mother Mary Joseph. It's roughly 100 acres, and when we first tried to get it land nearby, it was squelched because there was a lot of anti-Catholic feeling maybe at that time. It was near the Rockefeller estate, and so we went to court and we won. And so this property, when it came up for sale, we didn't want the same thing to happen again. So Mother Mary Joseph, she dressed up to the nines because she went to Smith College. Our lawyer dressed up like her husband, and Father Walsh was dressed up like the family chauffeur. And he gave the approval, so then they bought the one farm, and then a few years later they bought the other one. Father Walsh felt if we build the seminary to look like a Chinese motif, that will motivate our men to get to that culture. Croton Dam is not too far from here, and it was finished, I think, in the late 1800s. Many of those Italian masons settled in the Ossining area. And so when the idea came about Maryknoll and putting up this building, and there was all this fieldstone made it very, very cheap, we had a source then of laborers as well as craftsmen who could do that original stonework. And the quadrangle there, that's the one that opens up to the Hudson. There are two major things there. One is a statue of our Blessed Mother and Child in a Chinese kiosk built by Brother Albert and some of the earlier men. And that became a center point along with the Japanese bell behind it. The Japanese bell was a gift from a person in Japan to Father Walsh, and we got it a few weeks before our first departure ceremony in 1918. So there were two wooden mallets, and during that ceremony they used to be rung. The significance of that is it has those bells that called us to classes or to announce to the local community, similar to bells in the Middle Ages. It was rung at 6 a.m., noontime, and 6 p.m. And before people had watches and clocks and things. Of course, now people have all those things. During World War II, it was used by civilian spotters to watch for German ships or planes that may come up the Hudson. And one of the things they had was a big plywood board which had the black silhouettes of German ships and planes that you could watch and kind of identify the silhouette if anything like that happened. It's peace be to those that enter. And Jesus, and it's in Latin because that's the older part of the building and everything was done in Latin. And then when you leave, it's good health or salvation. There was a Colombian priest in Chile, he was a Chilean, Years ago, he worked with us in Boston. And he said to us when he was leaving, he said, "I don't think you understand your value to us overseas." And the group I was with said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he says, "Those of us overseas, we understand what you have in the States. And just the fact that you would give all that up, not just the physical things, you're giving up your family, the opportunity to make lots of money, total security, your comfortableness in being in your own culture, you're giving all of that up to come and be with us in other lands." And it gave me an understanding of, regardless of what we do, that's icing on the cake. But just the fact that we have that presence says volumes to people. Maryknoll, in the future, we have tremendous challenges. With fewer personnel and limited resources, we have to figure out what kind of presence can we have around the world, where and what kind of presence should that be.